So we now know one of the finalists in the RL.com European Cup, Scotland beating Lebanon in Glasgow earlier. Now will it be Wales or Ireland joining them? The Welsh, of course, World Cup semi-finalists in 1995 and 2000, but missing out in 2008 when Ireland made their mark. This is the team that the Welsh will have on duty today. At fullback it's Elliot Keir, Rhys Williams, Matt Thomas, Christian Roets and Ashley Bateman. Lloyd White will partner the scrum half Ian Watson. Up front it's Jordan James who captains the side, Neil Budworth and Gil Dudson, Chris Beasley, Geraint Davis and Ian Webster. And on the bench it's Lee Williams, Ross Devorty, Matt Barron and Lewis Mills. And the coach, only the second time he's taken charge of his country, Iestyn Harris. For the Irish, Carl Fitzpatrick, Tim Bergin, Marcus St. Hilaire, James Haley, and what a boost for them, Wigan's winger Pat Richards making himself available to play, James Coyle and Liam Finn, the 6 and 7. The forwards Ryan Boyle, Bob Beswick who captains the side and Luke Ambler, Sean Hesketh, Dave Allen and Tyrone McCarthy. And on the bench it's Wayne Kerr, Paddy Barco, Michael Haley, Steve Gibbons and the coach who led the Irish in the World Cup in Australia last year, it's Andy Kelly. Well, will the Welsh Dragon be roaring or will the Irish manage to get to the final to cap what has been a truly remarkable couple of years for Andy Kelly and the Welsh team and the Irish team. The Welsh playing here at Pontypridd, and well, Pontypridd, they did have a one and a bit season tilt at rugby league some 80 years ago, 1927 and 28. And among several Pontypridd rugby union players to turn professional and sign for league clubs in the past, powerhouse forward Tommy David was the last and possibly the greatest of them. But there is another Welsh legend, Iestyn Harris, who has joined the coaching staff, of course, at the Celtic Crusaders just down the road at Newport for 2010 alongside Brian Noble. And can he lead the Welsh to glory here today? But before the match, of course, we have the national anthems of both sides. We have the Abercynon Male Voice Choir here on duty tonight, and also Welsh recording artist Rob Allen is with them. The Irish belting out the national anthem, and alongside Andy Kelly, of course, you might have caught a glimpse of our very own Barry McDermott, who is on the Irish coaching staff. But now the Abercynon Male Voice Choir will sing the Welsh national anthem. Two stirring national anthems sung by the Abercon Male Voice Choir. The Scottish weather looks like it has come south to South Wales. Let us join now our commentary team, Brian Carney, Phil Clark and first Rod Studd.
Thank you, Eddie. Before we get into the action, a minute's silence for Ireland player Jason Golden's mother, Pauline, who died yesterday after a long illness.
Oh, good. Cleared up, guys. Cheers. Thanks.
Well, this is for the right to play Scotland in next week's European Cup final. A Frenchman, Thierry Alibert, is the man in charge. Ireland, one of the success stories of the last World Cup in 2008. Wales on a rebuilding mission after failing to make it to Australia. Alongside me, a man with 8 Rugby League caps for Ireland, Brian Carney, and the strictly neutral Philip Clark. Gentlemen, your thoughts?
Well, it's a shame that we've had the rain come in. We've just seen in the Scotland game is going to make handling very, very difficult. I think whoever can adapt to that and cut out the mistakes early on in this game should get a good foothold in this first 40 minutes.
Well, Ireland are the favourites here, but I expect Iestyn Harris to have his side well drilled and well motivated, and the Spectres, the underdogs, perhaps with a home advantage, could just go on to win it.
Well, both sides have played Serbia in the group stages of this competition, and both have had big wins. Ireland racking up 14 tries in a 82-0 thrashing, and Wales scoring 15 in an 88-8 victory over in Serbia last week. But they have had to travel to and from Eastern Europe, and it was a journey of, well over 2,000 miles round trip. Do you think that'll make much difference, Brad?
Well, you know, I'm not sure in this game. There's plenty of experience here in these boys. Ones to look out for, I think, on the Welsh side is Jordan James, a man who tore into the English when he got the opportunity a couple of weeks ago. And for Ireland, look at Carl Fitzpatrick and Pat Richards to bring back this ball with a bit of interest and make it easier for the Ireland forwards to gain some metres up this field.
Yeah, you mentioned Jordan James there. He captains the side tonight, the Welsh side tonight. 16th straight cap. He's been playing for as long as he can remember for the Welsh, despite being born across the border in Gloucestershire. But he captains the team tonight in the absence of the injured Ben Flower, who was due to play tonight. He'd hoped he'd shaken off a knee knock that he picked up in Serbia, but wasn't fit to play. Ben Flower, the Celtic Crusaders forward.
Although you very often in these type of conditions see teams kick earlier in the tackle count, particularly early in the match, and that's exactly what Wales have done with Ian Watson's left foot. They want to trap their opponent close to the line. You tend to see fewer long-range tries when the weather is heavy and the pitch is a little softer, as we have here today in Pontypridd.
Yeah, Ian Watson fast approaching the record for Welsh caps. Not far behind Jim Sullivan now. He and Jordan James, we mentioned, have got 36 caps between them. The other 15 on duty for Wales tonight have got just 33, so two vastly experienced players. But as Phil said, Wales kicking early in that tackle count, hoping to force an error. The pitch is pretty boggy down there. It doesn't look too bad on the TV pictures, but having walked out on the pitch, I can tell you it's pretty marshy in patches, and that might not be the worst tactic. This is the last tackle, and Bob Bezic launches a kick long for Ireland. Not as effective as Watson's effort by any stretch.
No, it's we've seen a proliferation of kicking out of dummy half, and it's a hard skill to achieve. He is a skillful player, Bob Bezic, and we see a penalty given. A lot of the good that comes from Ireland will come around Bob Bezic tonight.
Yeah, that's the first penalty of the match, and as we saw in the other game earlier this afternoon from Glasgow, penalties are going to be a vital part of the game in these conditions. Scotland's win over Lebanon was based a lot around having better discipline than the Lebanese, and this gives Wales their first attacking opportunity in the opposition's red zone.
Well, Ian Webster's with an excellent kick to touch there now. And we'll see what Iestyn Harris and the Welsh boys have done in preparation here. So a scenario lots of teams practice for, penalty 30 metres out.
Yeah, Wales then with their first attacking opportunity here, their first chance to put points on the board. The underdogs, as Phil was saying, by 6 points with the bookmakers. Can they get first blood in this game? There's some useful movement in these difficult handling conditions. The rain has just about stopped, but it's been raining on and off virtually all afternoon. Budworth offloads to Dodson. They're pretty close to the line, and Ireland have got some defending to do early on in this match. Again, it'll be Neil Budworth, the experienced Celtic Crusader at dummy half. Thought he was going to go himself, and now they spill the ball. Ian Webster, the offender, and a chance gone begging for Wales.
They're shaping up well. I mean, the execution wasn't great. One of the notable features the team Iestyn Harris put out against England and the way they played is they were very, very structured against, I would say, superior opposition. So it's been an interesting feature of his coaching so far, because he was a player I feel played his best when it was unstructured. So, but obviously he knows you can't take that into coaching, and he's made significant efforts to put some structure behind these players, and they're all seem to be singing off the same hymn sheet. Yeah,
he's done a lot of work, obviously, at Featherstone under Daryl Powell there, and as you say, he's learnt a lot very quickly, and he's having to learn quickly on the job here at Wales, who've had a pretty torrid time. And Harris was in that team that lost to Lebanon in the one of the qualifying games for the last World Cup, when they missed out on qualification for 2008. Mind you, there's not many left for Ireland now, Brian, is there, from that last World Cup? I think 4 from the team that got to that effective quarter-final against Fiji.
That's right. One of the success stories of the World Cup was the Irish team, the Wolfhounds, when they went over there, and they certainly lit up the tournament and won a lot of fans over there. Great to see somebody like Pat Richards here tonight. It gives the game a great boost, and gives the players, maybe they're coming from the Irish competition. I know that when I got to play alongside Super League players, it gave me a lift, and Pat Richards will certainly do that with these players.
Phil, you were saying earlier, before the game kicked off, Pat Richards may be wasted out on the wing tonight. Do you feel that he's their main go-to man, should be further in field?
Well, sometimes teams have an obsession to get it to the best players here, as Coyle takes on the line. I think his involvement in the game for Ireland will be crucial to their ultimate success if they are to win here. Now, kick again deep here for Elliot Keir, trapping him in the corner. It's an excellent one. He returned it well last time. His enthusiasm in the tackle ended up resulting in a penalty for Wales. This time, Ireland's focus and discipline is far better.
Yeah, and it's going to be important to kick right up to the dead ball, and there's not going to be much travel on the ball out there. Once it hits the ground, it's virtually going to stop. Elliot Keir, who made a try-scoring appearance, opened the scoring in Serbia last week, scored the first try of that 15-try route. This is going to be a much tougher occasion. We may be looking to see 15 points, never mind 15 tries in the conditions out there. It's going to be rough and tough, and it really is going to be a lot about ball retention and going through the sets. This is better, though, from Wales. They're keen to move this one wide, and that's great handling. They'll get this ball even further wide to Matt Thomas. Well, they're still moving forward, Wales, and that's pretty progressive stuff, to be quite honest, between Bateman and Thomas. A lot more ambitious than you maybe expected in the conditions. Now, final tackle for the Welsh. Well, is it going to come to nothing now? The little kick through comes from Webster in the end.
That is brilliant play. Absolutely brilliant by Wales here. The build-up play, the confidence to shift it down the right-hand flank. Having made the break then, they knew on the last tackle they had to keep it alive. They've trapped Fitzpatrick in the in-goal area. And this the build-up play on the right-hand side. Great offload in the tackle. And although they don't quite chip it far enough, they have Wales here rocked early in this. Sorry, Ireland under pressure considerably there with their enterprising play.
Yeah, they did this quite a lot against England, didn't they? They looked to get it wide at every opportunity, and I know they made handling mistakes, but it looked, at least showed that they were being progressive. A little bit of running repairs here for Luke Ambler while we watch on, Brad.
That is the most ambitious piece of strapping I've seen in a long time. That's outstanding work.
Well, we've seen a few over the last couple of seasons in Super League, haven't we? John Wilkin has made an art form of dressing as the Phantom of the Opera, hasn't he?
Knock on from Elliot Keir. Oh, what a tragedy there now for Wales.
Yeah, it's a big blunder. They forced the error. Well, they forced the goal line dropout, should I say, but then to knock on immediately through Elliot Keir has negated all that good work, and Andy Kelly must be a relieved man, the Irish coach.
Yes, then Harris will be thinking, put your boot to it, yet use your boot to trap it there. It's just too difficult in these conditions to try and trust your hand to pick that up. Boot's going to be the better option.
Keir's one of 10 Celtic Crusaders in this side, even with Captain Ben Flower dropping out. They just swapped in for another one in Lewis Mills. So 10 Celtic Crusaders, not all first-team regulars by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of them came into the Celtic Crusaders side towards the end of the season when the visa problems hit some of the high-profile Australians. Well, here is Luke Ambler in that ambitious strapping. as Brian Carney said, and this is going to be Ireland's first penalty, and now a chance for them to launch some kind of attack on the Welsh line.
That's right, it'll be about where you play the game tonight, as it is really in most games, and penalties like that help you no end.
Can't see the interference though on the replay.
Thierry Alibert's looking keen to make his mark, and we saw the New Zealand referee, Mr. Williamson, didn't we, up in Scotland, similarly, Phil? I mean, those two referees are under pressure to get games later in the Four Nations as well, aren't they? You know, the referees are on the microscope.
I've no doubt he must have felt that there was interference. Still, it's the first chance for Ireland. Almost 8 minutes into this match here now to put some pressure on them, and Coyle takes it through the line.
And this is a real chance for Ireland. Who's in support? They've got players in support, and it's offloaded wide for Marcus St-Hilaire. Tyrone McCarthy with the try assist. Well, they made Wales pay. The first chance for the Irish, and it's Marcus St-Hilaire scoring a try on his debut. A man who once upon a time scored tries for England in international form. Now he's an Irishman, Brian.
That is a fantastic try. The shape they had on this right-hand side to shift, they had options to score everywhere. It's great shape, great setup, and have a look at the bodies in motion here. When they get this ball out wide, look at the numbers available to him. A good offload and a great backup play from Carl Fitzpatrick, shifting the ball out to Marcus St-Hilaire. Now have a look. Watch the inside and outside options that are available here. Great hands in these conditions, fantastic. A lovely little offload from Warrington fell on Tyrone McCarthy.
You've got to give Dave Allen some credit. Involved twice in that one play. First they handed it on, then they're rooping around for the link and finding that final pass to St-Hilaire. Just probably goes to show the difference in class we had in our minds beforehand. Ireland have confirmed they're out wide particularly.
Well, Pat Richards, talking of class, Phil, is a class goal kicker. He was the leading scorer in Super League 2007 and 2008, and only second to Mick Dobson in 2009. And that is the kind of goal kicking that got him so many points. Over 1,000 points he scored for Wigan. It's easy to see why when he just slotted that from the wrong side from the touchline.
Hasn't he been outstanding for Wigan? Had a patchy maybe first year since when he came over, but been outstanding, and it's tremendous for Ireland to have a player of his calibre put his hand up and play in games with it like this.
Well, I saw Barry McDermott there. You have to have a word with him about the fact he hasn't got a tie on there, Brian. But Barry McDermott, who played in the last meeting between these two sides in Dublin a few years back. Wales won that easily. It was remembered for a couple of tries from Anthony Blackwood for Wales, but more pertinently for the sin binning of Terry O'Connor, who very uncharacteristically wanted to carry on fighting with Ian Watson after they'd both been sent for 10 minutes.
Sin bin for being overweight.
Here's another penalty from Thierry Alibert, and Ireland, who profited from the last one. Well, this one's a lot further out, but they should start the next set round about the halfway line. So Marcus St-Hilaire, 32 years of age, he is now still going strong with Oldham. We saw in the National League 2 Grand Final, Championship 1 as it is now Grand Final for Oldham a couple of months ago. Well, next weekend Thierry Alibert has got the plum job of next weekend. He'll be refereeing England versus New Zealand, which is effectively a semi-final to play Australia in the final, isn't it? So he's got a big weekend ahead of him. So is the winner of this. They'll play Scotland in the final. The losers will play Lebanon at Bridgend. It's a treble header because Serbia will play Italy in the first game. So it's a feast of rugby league at Bridgend next weekend. Bezic, and that's a knock on.
And that's a shame for Ireland because they're starting to play the game with good speed. They're finding the quicker play of the balls, from which Bob Bezic very often looks more dangerous. But the inaccuracy of the pass to Coyle results in the knock-on. An incompleted set for Ireland, and I think a relief for Wales.
Yeah, Bezic was very much the central figure in that win over Serbia. Everything was going through Bezic, and then virtually everything was going through the Serbian defence by the end of it. I'm not sure whether those two games are going to be anything really in terms of a serious workout for this. This is going to be a step up for both teams, and Wales, having started brightly, now find themselves 6 points behind. There's Davis driving the ball inside Irish territory. Now they've looked to shift this ball wide at most opportunities. Are they going to do so again? Well, they'll look to try and soften Ireland up down the middle, this time with Webster. I mentioned that last win, Wales won in Ireland, but the three meetings have gone Ireland's way, 2-1. Although every game has been won by the away side, and so far it looks as though that sequence will continue. Has that gone back? It has, and Thierry Alibert is happy to let the tackle count continue for the Welsh. Now this is Rowett, who made an amazing debut for Wales last week, scored a hat-trick in his first appearance against Serbia, and he qualifies by residential grounds. He's been in the country for 8 years. Now the little kick through from Elliot Keir, and that's mopped up quite comfortably by Liam Finn.
Well, you'd have to say one of their kicking options that they won't try is kick to Pat Richards and kick high. He's as good as there is in Super League at taking those balls, so it's something you'd say is almost a waste of time. So I think they're going to have to find maybe shorter kicks, because that guy can take them all day.
Yeah, you'd feel along the ground was better anyway in these conditions, wouldn't you, Brian? If it get into the mud, it makes it much more difficult to handle as opposed to the aerial ball. There's not much wind about, is there? So going to ground is probably better, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. Get the ball nice and wet, difficult to pick up.
Here at Pontypridd, Wales 0, Ireland 6. Earlier on the day, Scotland defeated Lebanon quite comfortably by 12 points, and they're through to the final of this European Cup. And the Wolfhounds, the Irishmen, so successful in that World Cup. Got to effectively what was the quarter-final before going out to Fiji, but really thrilled everybody. They're still missing a few players from that game, as we mentioned. The likes of Damien Blanche, of course, who was superb in that World Cup.
Outstanding in the World Cup. One of the best wingers on show in the competition, and that was no mean feat, because we had some good players. No, he was outstanding. It's a shame he's got that serious injury, but hopefully he'll come back and fully recover. Yeah,
Scott Grick's missing as well, obviously the captain. He's got a hernia problem, so missing some big names, the Irish, but having to get the job done with the 17 on duty as Monsieur Alibert's whistle goes again to level the penalty count up at 2 apiece, and it's try scorer Marcus St-Hilaire who was involved in that, and with him was James Coyle as well. Take your pick between the two. Wales won't worry, it's a penalty.
Well, you have to run as though you mean it, and that's what Wales did early in that set. Very often you do get a penalty as a result here now, and they, after an initial promising start, just about a 5-minute lull, I feel, got to come back here and ask some real questions of Ireland in defence.
Well, that was Beasley driving it in initially, and now Dugson will burst his way through, and he'll take a couple of men with him into the real danger area as far as Ireland is concerned. Now we're watching Budworth. Now it's scrum off Ian Watson, and that's going to be a knock-on, I think, for Lloyd White. Oh, hold on. Wales have got out of jail, I think, because has Thierry Alibert pinged them for offside? No, he's given the knock-on. I thought for a minute he was going to give the offside, and in fact, he has an offside, but it's against Wales. Yeah, picked up at an offside position, wasn't it? And frustration for Iestyn Harris and the Welsh.
These penalties are a saviour for Ireland coming out of their half, especially so close to the line. Instead of turning the ball over and making them run it out, they're going to get to play the ball or cap the ball on the 20 and their 25, and you can see them probably kicking from inside the Welsh half in this set if they have any sort of good drive in the next 2 or 3 tackles.
Yeah, 10 Celtic Crusaders playing for the Welsh, so you would think that they would be able to be playing as a team a little better than Ireland initially. I mean, you guys have both played for Great Britain. You know what it's difficult when you've got players from 5, 6, 7, 8 clubs. So you'd think there should be more cohesion amongst the Welsh early on, shouldn't it?
It certainly helps, but you need quality as well. I'm not saying that they have no quality, but there's certainly some players in this Ireland team that have got a lot of Super League experience, and I think that could count as well.
Yeah, Carl Fitzpatrick, fullback, obviously the star of the Salford City Red side, and Pat Richards, probably the biggest star on show tonight, the Wigan star, the Wigan winger come fullback, and he waits on this near side, but he's watching Bob Bezic kick to the far side. That's the Irish right, and that'll turn Wales round, right onto the try line, and he's done well there, Elliot Keir, to pick that up, and he's gone on a little sachet down the sideline. It was a run that was fraught with danger, because had he stepped to his left, he was in big trouble. He'd have been in touch.
A lot of the Irish kicks we've seen in this game are reminiscent of the way that Australia kicked the ball in the opening quarter against England yesterday. They've consistently chosen a corner in the field in which they want to target, and they're putting the kick after kick into that corner and following it up with a quality chase. Really has been an excellent show in terms of gaining territory early in the match, and another handling area here by Wales inside their own half is a reward for Ireland's patience and persistence with that particular play.
You know what I think as well, Phil, a lot of the attack from Ireland's gone down this right edge of theirs, or whether or not they feel more comfortable passing that way, which is left to right and not always the obvious choice, or else they feel they've seen a weakness in this left edge of Welsh defence that they're trying to pick on. But we haven't seen a whole lot come down Pat Richards' direction. As you say, a lot of the kicks and a lot of the play going down the Ireland right-hand side.
Yeah, Richards has hardly touched the ball, really. I think the only time he's touched it was to take the kick that's converted the early try from Marcus St-Hilaire. But I wonder, you know, bearing in mind his prowess in the air, Brian, that they might try something from this situation, because if they can get close enough to the try line here from this set, which they should, we may see the aerial bomb to this near side to Pat Richards. Let's see what they work from this. There's a couple of tackles gone. There's Wales already struggling to get back on side here, to be quite honest. Now this is Liam Finn looking to come to this near side alongside James Coyle, all wrapped up with nowhere to go, 25 metres out. And Ireland conjure up from this second real opportunity. Finn involved again, as you'd expect. Now we watch Michael Haley Sheffield driving his way forward, one of the debutants in this Irish side. It comes to Liam Finn, butterfingers from the man who was the player of the year in Championship 1 and is now on his way to join Featherstone next season. An uncharacteristic error from the scrum half.
Well, Ashley Bateman eventually happy, wouldn't it, for the kick to come through to him. Scrappy one as it was. There's the handling error. Just that play going away and ending up with Wales rather than having to defend on the last play.
Yeah, I think we'll see quite a few handling errors in these conditions, and that's a pretty good pickup from Ian Webster for a pass that wasn't the best by any stretch of the imagination. He's done well to bend down and pick that up his bootlaces. The man who broke the Welsh record last week for points scored in an international with a try and 14 goals against Serbia. Broke the great Jonathan Davies record for points in a match.
Well, they've made sure that Pat Richards is going to have a shower at the end of the match anyway. He's got him dirty in possession for the first time.
Yeah, real boost for the Irish that Richards has made himself. Yeah, it was a crunching tackle, wasn't it, on Tim Bergin. Plays for the local club, the Laois Panthers. And one of a couple of young Irish lads in this team that Andy Kelly has turned to, and that's good to see as well, isn't it, Phil? That, you know, it's not just Australian imports with Irish ancestry. There are one or two young kids getting a chance here.
Well, there's been some excellent work done to develop rugby league across Europe in many countries in the last decade. Very difficult to start a new sport, but they've done that, and we're starting to see some players benefit from it here. With a successful European Cup, we've had a European Bowl and a European Shield involving other nations as well. It's all about growing the game internationally.
This is Coyle. Oh, they'll run it here on the last island with James Hayden. He looks for Pat Richards, who gallops away down this touchline. A kick inside. Who's waiting? Liam Finn. And Ireland will get their second try of the game as long as Thierry Alibert is satisfied. Everything's okay. And the French referee says yes. 4 points to Liam Finn.
That's outstanding, right on cue. He said they hadn't gone down Pat Richards' side and they chose to tack on the left on the last tackle. Fantastic bit of skill and well finished by Liam Finn. Not difficult, not easy in these conditions. The ball's slippery. He's got to make sure he grounds it accurately. Expecting the kick, decides to shift it. Pat Richards holding his wing, finish it nicely, and this is what about this for a delicate kick. That kick is no good though unless you get this chase from Liam Finn. Outstanding chase up the middle. He's watching the play unfold on the outside. Pat Richards possibly could have taken him on the outside. Liam Finn decides to chase. You never know what might happen, and he gets the results.
Yeah, Richards using the conditions absolutely perfectly. It is pretty heavy out there. Certainly good to soft in places if we were at the races, and he used it absolutely perfectly. Just to tee it up, and it stayed in the in goal, and as Brian rightly says, Finn had read it absolutely up to a tee, and Ireland have got a chance to go 12 points to 0 in front here.
And I think Pat Richards has shown it's not just about the quantity, it's more about the quality of work that you do in a rugby league game. Players with class might not touch the ball every 5 or 10 minutes, but when they do, he's shown the quality Pat Richards has in kicking conversions. He's shown it in supporting play, and then the accuracy and the length that he put onto the kick into the in-goal area really was what set this try on a plate for Liam Finn, his teammate at the scrum half. Once he then receives it, he knows he needs to stay in the field of play, tiptoes down inside the touchline, and then gauges his kick, looks inside for his teammate, waits it perfectly. 4 more points for Finn, 6 more points for Ireland.
Finn the try scorer, Richards with the assist and adding the goal. 4 points now for Richards. He was the third highest scorer in that World Cup. He had a tremendous tournament, Pat Richards. Well, Ireland had a tremendous tournament as a whole, didn't they?
Oh, what a shot to Jordan James. He did it with relish against England, and he's ripping into the Irish now. Have a look at that.
Yeah, he loves playing for Wales, Jordan James. We say this is his 16th consecutive appearance for the Welsh. Right back to 2003 when he made a try-scoring debut against the Russians.
Well, they've really had a chat to themselves, Wales behind the post, while they've wasted that conversion. 3 great tackles, although Ireland looking to spread and negate the ability to compress the defence that Wales have obviously spoken about. That's 4 tackles, only 20 metres still from the try line. And Bob Bezic elects to kick it down that right flank. Out on the full? Yes, it is.
Yeah, right on the line, Phil, wasn't it? Bounced right on the line.
What a great reward for Wales, though. They decided they were going to work hard having kicked the ball. We see the ball just bouncing on the touchline. That's out in rugby league, out on the full, and the ball goes back to a scrum. And Wales will have head and feed.
Could be a big mistake from Bob Bezic. 6 inches this way, and it was a great kick. But out on the full, a big error. And Wales will have possession, 25 metres out from the Irish line. They could do with a score here to get back into things. Iestyn Harris, his third game in charge, a defeat by England, but they played well in that game, and then that big win over Serbia. And the sublime to the ridiculous, really, the two opposition he's had to play in his first 2 games. This is more a test of the Welsh side, to be honest. Neil Budworth again busy at hooker, and bringing in Elliot Keane. Well, is that a knock-on? It is, says Thierry Alibert. Another handling error by Wales in the red zone. More frustration for Iestyn Harris.
And again, it was on the second tackle. You wouldn't be so concerned if they could get to the end of a set at this end of the field. The second tackle, the second handling error, relatively without any pressure applied to his own team. Wales are just conceding too many mistakes.
Yeah, you wonder how tough it is for Iestyn Harris, having played in a side with Jonathan Davies, John Devereux, Anthony Sullivan, Kevin Ellis, Paul Moriarty, Phil Ford, all these kind of players, to be dealing with players that aren't as talented as him, and that must be tough for him to take, I would guess.
No, I don't think so. I don't know about that, Rod. I think he's a coach, and you got to accept that as a coach.
Oh, that could have been a dangerous tackle.
Well, it's on here.
Yeah, it's on here now. Well, frustrations here. Well, Alibert has calmed this down pretty quickly, to be fair. He's done well there, the referee, because he's got straight in there, blown the whistle, given the penalty, and no mucking about from Thierry Alibert.
Well, we're fortunate that Michael Haley's okay here, because he gets twisted and turned very quickly, lands on the upper part of his back, between the shoulders and neck area.
Yeah, it was Matt Barron involved from Wales.
They failed to find touch with the kick from the penalty. And then, tragedy for Wales, having received possession, they've then lost it so early again. Here's the attempted kick to touch, doesn't quite get hold of it.
And there's the knock-on. He's given it for the second one, hasn't he?
Dave Allen, who came in with a big challenge from the Irish perspective.
Yeah, Lloyd White's been penalised for the knock-on, hasn't he?
Just to go back to your point on Iestyn Harris, as an outstanding player he's one of the best of his generation. If he wants to go into coaching, and I'm sure he's aware he's going to be dealing with players that maybe didn't have the natural ability that he had, and especially in this Welsh side, and you're going to have to learn to deal with that as a coach and adapt. And I think they certainly played well against England, and we've seen mistakes here that they didn't have against England. So I think if you can get back to some sort of composure that they showed 2 weeks ago, they could be okay in this game.
Here's Bezic at dummy half again. He bosses the show from that position, and Finn will now move it wide, and that's beautifully flicked on. They've got chances here again down this left-hand side. The Irish once more with Haley and Richards. This combination down this left-hand side causing a lot of difficulty. That's going to be another knock-on. Not really surprising in that quagmire right around the 20-metre area. They did well to find the ball there in amongst that mud, to be quite honest. Never mind, play it.
Well, James Powell just couldn't pick it out, could he, of the mud pool it was in. It never moved backwards. Actually, when he does drop the ball, there's a pat on there from Fitzpatrick. Finds Haley, knows he has Richards outside him, but Coyle couldn't lift it out of the mud pool.
We got the human wrecking ball on here now, Wayne Kerr.
Oh, that's knock on again here. That'll be play on, and they're still in that quagmire down there. They had to dig the ball out, didn't they, to find it. It's been literally planted in the ground. And now the Irish on the offensive again with Wayne Kerr, as you said, Brian. And Bezic once more. And now Michael Haley, big Michael Haley, to within a couple of metres of the Welsh line. All Ireland, and a third try here would make it not impossible for Wales to come back, but very, very difficult in these conditions. 3 tackles for Wales to hold on here, and if you feel that they really do need to hang on and muscle up here on their own trial, and it's Finn with his box of tricks and a little chip in the air to Pat Richards, but not even Pat Richards is tall enough to haul that one in.
No, you can obviously see what they're trying to do. This is, as I said, the best man in Super League, I think, at fielding the high ball and the cross-field kick, but the execution maybe not on the mark out there. It's you got the Welsh winger backpedaling. Pat Richards will want that to land about 5 metres more infield, and he can angle his run back in from the touchline and get a jump over his opposite number.
As we said, yeah, third highest point scorer in the World Cup. Pat Richards, he had some spectacular games in that tournament, as Ireland lost to Fiji eventually, but got within a game of the semi-finals. Tremendous stuff. And Wales on a rebuilding mission, really, after failing to make it to Australia. Got knocked out by Lebanon, and well, hammered by Lebanon in that qualifying game, to be quite honest. World Cup semi-finalists back in '95 and 2000, but it's a long way back from where they are now, the Welsh. But they're looking to make strides quite literally here towards the halfway line.
Possibly their best player, Neil Budworth, the hooker, has made that good break. It's got Wales again going forward. Consistent performer in the number 9 jersey in a difficult season with the Celtic Crusaders. And then Watson now picks it up, left foot, traps it in the corner. We saw Scotland recover from a difficult opening quarter against Lebanon to go on and win the game. We often see in rugby league the team that starts best in the first 20 minutes don't always end up winning the match. And Wales have got a hope here for the supporters that they can turn this one around and certainly turn around their opponents with a deep kick into the corner.
That's a fantastic kick. We've spoken about in these international games we've watched England play that we've bemoaned the lack of maybe an accurate kicking game, and that's the difference it can make. Look where it makes Ireland run the ball out of. Instead of finding somebody on the fly, it's putting pressure on Ireland to take this ball out.
Ian Watson with that crucial kick. He'll be an important part of the Swinton setup next season.
Well, they're complimenting the kicks, aren't they, here now, with some real tenacity in defence. Can they force an error from the Irish side?
Well, important that Ireland get their handling spot on here, because this is just an escape set here to get maybe 25 metres out from their own line and give it to Finn or Bezic and get rid of it and get it up the other end. You'd expect it to be safety first, and the kick comes very early in the tackle count, in fact. And it's a great kick too, and it'll end up 25 metres from the Welsh line. Good set that, Phil, wasn't it?
Excellent, yes, excellent. I think they're very happy, Ireland, to have got that kick through James Coyle. Look, he takes it inside his own 20-metre line. It's a good kick downfield. Wales know their reward really here now. It's just possession probably from this scrum. But they've worked hard here now. They've managed to hold their own against a side who probably not only have more experience, but are physically stronger than them. I'm impressed with Wales. Sometimes when the game's going against you, easy to just fall into a hole. They haven't done that. They're working their way to continue in this match. You see number 17, Mills, come on now. They're just trying to interchange 1 or 2 players. They receive a penalty.
Well, it's high again. And to be fair, Thierry Alibert has been spot. Well, he's going it for Marcus, not square in the end, but he's been spot on everything here, and he's got the discipline right, because there's been any shenanigans, he's stamped on it straight away.
He gave them every opportunity as well. He called the markers not get involved. But I guess there's not a whole lot you can do when the guy runs straight at you.
Well, the Welsh on the attack once more, with Webster driving it into within 30 metres of the line. As I mentioned, a lot of Celtic Crusaders in this squad. A lot of them came through at the end of the season, had to learn very quickly. A lot of them made their debut in that mauling by Leeds after the visa problems with the high-profile Australians. These young Welsh players have had to learn very quickly, and this is all part of the learning experience. There's Budworth offloading this time to Beasley, who's wrapped up by Marcus St-Hilaire. Wales sniffing a first try that would get them back in the game as we approach the half-hour mark here in Pontypridd. Watson, and then the offloads to Lloyd White, one of those young Crusaders who made his debut against Leeds, and he'll win a penalty here because Bob Bezic is all over him like a rash, and Alibert gets it spot on again. A penalty to Wales.
Well, it's been penalty. Can they really cap it off nicely here now by putting a try on the end? They've got 6 more plays, perfect position. They have their opponents on their own try line.
Yeah, third straight set here for the Welsh, effectively piggyback down the pitch with penalties. Well, the dancing feet of Elliot Kerr has done some good defensive work already, but now on an attacking venture upfield. Neil Budworth again at dummy half for the Welsh. What's outside him on the left? It's a loose pass. It's picked up well by Lloyd White, who does exceptionally well to break through a couple of tackles and get within a couple of yards of the try line. Budworth again directing traffic. Well, this is a 4th straight penalty, and it may well be a warning here. I think the Frenchman's patience is going to run pretty thin here. 4 straight sets should normally equate to a try, more often than it doesn't. That's a good tackle though by Warrington Starlet, Tyrone McCarthy. Budworth, does he fancy going himself? No, it's a try. Wales finally break through. 4 straight sets in the end for the Welsh, and in the end there was no answer from the Irish defence. They just ran out of gas, and Wales are back in business.
Well, the indiscipline there has cost the Irish, and ultimately 4 points, and I think it'll probably be 6 in the end. Chris Beasley, well, Ian Webster, I think, in the end, getting the try. Indiscipline costing them penalty after penalty.
It's the first penalty we see, and we saw a second one on the back of that. The referee just continuing to be consistent. He said they're holding down the tackle. We saw a second example of that, and then a nice pass there from Budworth, and it's brilliantly finished here now by Webster. Number 13 for Wales. They made it look simple, but they've been consistent with their approach. And eventually they have 4 points.
Ladies and gentlemen, a correction to the Wales score. It was actually scored by number 13, Ian Webster.
Lloyd White adds the extra, so Wales are back in business. That try off a sequence of 4 penalties, too much for Ireland to hold out in the end. That's put a completely different complexion on things. Ireland looking very comfortable at 12-0 and chances to extend it. Things have changed here in Pontypridd.
Yeah, he's finished it well. Ultimately, it's a difficult play to stop when you've been on the back foot and you're defending your try line. The big man running at you. You really need to get your defence to be in place, and they weren't. They were backpedaling and never got a chance to get set.
6th try of his international career for Ian Webster. As you mentioned, he put all those points on the board last weekend, 32 of them in Serbia. Well, there's another 4 to his name in Welsh colours.
And a nice run from the kick-off with Lewis Mills just on the field, number 17. He's carried the ball a couple of times. Great catch by Elliot Keir. Here he is again, Lewis Mills stepping, not being driven back in the tackle, and they have to fight fire with fire really, because Ireland have got some powerful forwards.
Well, Lewis Mills only knew he was playing this morning because Ben Flower was meant to be playing and Mills was 18th man, but Flower's knee problem didn't allow him to play, and so Mills has been called up. That's a monster tackle, isn't it? That's a meaty hit, if ever there was, from big Wayne Kerr, who just absolutely lined his man up and levelled him.
Speedy's come off the line there. I think that he brings a tremendous enthusiasm when he comes onto the field. He's a man who's very passionate about playing for Ireland, and he's left a sick man on the floor there.
I'm not surprised.
I think, given an option, you might kick the ball to Tim Bergen, I think, from the long kick downfield rather than to Pat Richards. If you had to kick it to one or two of the wingers, that might be a message from Iestyn Harris to the side at half-time. But they're controlling a lot of what Ireland are doing here now. They had 4 men in that tackle.
Well, this is Bezic initially, and then offloaded onwards as Ireland look to get back on the front foot with Michael Haley, and now with that man again, Kerr. How long can he last at that rampaging pace?
Well,
though,
that's
Brian?
always the difficult thing with these guys.
Oh, that's play on. He's got his foot to that. He's got his foot to that, Liam Finn. Sharp thinking. It wasn't the best of handling, but at least he got a boot to it before it hit the ground and got away with it. So that was smart stuff. A lot of players would have just let that go to ground.
That's tremendous skill after a poor mistake. Yeah, no, it's going to be difficult for somebody like Wayne Kerr to maintain that intensity. Keep an eye out for Stevie Gibbons, just come on the field for Ireland there. I believe he was man of the match last week, and actually just falling off a tackle there, just put a hex on him.
As Wales come streaking forward once more. That's a great offload. Some sensational handling as Rowett gets the ball. Can he get it away? There's men outside him. There was Elliot Keir in support, but wrapped up by 4 Irish Wolfhounds. No penalty, says Alibert this time, as Wales look to go left with Budworth. Good handling here as it's picked up by Elliot Kerr, but it's the footing that's difficult in the mud out there on a dry day. He might have been able to get through that half gap that appeared. Final tackle. Now, what's in the locker here from the Welsh halfbacks? Anything from Watson or White here? Well, this is Watson. Anything in goal will be dangerous. Can Richards run this one out? Well, he's done brilliantly there, Pat Richards. That's Super League experience.
That's a huge play. It's often underrated how important that is. The difference between giving the ball back to the opposition from a dropout or having the ball at least getting a chance to attack again, albeit coming off your own line. It's a big play from Pat Richards.
It's the point you were making there, Phil, isn't it? Because you don't want to be kicking. Had that gone out to a guy who had less experience, they'd probably got a drop out there, Wales.
Well, I don't know whether Tim Bergen would have had the strength to get back into the field of play. I won't take anything away from Wales, though. OK, they didn't trap them in goal. Again, accurate kick and great work. 5 tackles there. They've done well here. For the first 20 minutes, they struggled to contain Ireland at times. Big, strong, powerful team with more experience than them. But they've worked well and they've played some really good rugby league, both in attack and their effort in defence has been fantastic.
We've talked a little bit about what Iestyn Harris may bring to the coaching role here at Wales, his first big coaching job, but the one thing you can say about Iestyn Harris, that he's a legend in South Wales and in all of Wales really, and if you were a young Welsh player and Iestyn Harris started talking, then you'd start listening, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. As I said, he was Iestyn Harris has been one of the stars of his generation of rugby league players, and I think you'd be a lucky guy to be able to be playing underneath him, and certainly inspiring.
Well, going underneath this time is Lee Williams, and he'll get the ball away and over the try line. Lee Williams has just squirmed under a couple of tackles and got over the line, and Wales will be level here if Lloyd White can have the conversion.
That's a fantastic individual effort. Fantastic. He's clawed his team back into this game. It's some poor Irish defence, I think we'll see, but take nothing away from the ability of this man to finish. He's ducked under a cue. They've shifted to the right here, and he's got a ball with Pat Richards in front of him, going maybe backwards. But some good footwork there. Despairing effort from the Irish defence. Great individual effort.
Well, I think Liam Finn will be very disappointed with his efforts here. Okay, they get on the outside of him, but he just goes completely too high on Lee Williams. After that point, well, it's easy for him to wrong foot the fullback Fitzpatrick, but show good pace. And you have to reward Wales. They've moved the ball in difficult conditions. They've thrown long passes, which are harder to catch, but they've taken them well. And they've now, with this kick going over, level the score and been the better side in the last 10 minutes.
I think you can trace that try, Phil, back to the set you referred to, where they restricted Ireland coming out of their own half, forced the Irish to kick from inside their 30, allowing the Welsh to return the ball with a bit of interest.
Rain teeming down here, but it doesn't make any difference to Lloyd White's kicking accuracy, and Wales are back on level terms here at 12-12. That's quite a comeback in these conditions from 12-0 behind. They've refused to roll over, and Harris's men have got back on level terms just before half-time. It'll make the half-time team talk a little bit different from Iestyn Harris, you would feel. Great combat here from Wales. Well, to be fair, they never rolled over against England, despite conceding a lot of late tries. And talking of Harris's team talk, Andy Kelly has a more difficult job on his hands. His side looked good at 12-0. Very different story right now as we enter the final minute of this opening half. Oh, and almost a juggling act, which could have been costly from the kick-off. That could have made a difference.
Pat Richards, again, another facet of his game is his kickoffs. I think anybody who understands underneath him will tell you he's got a variety of kickoffs and very difficult to take. He's almost got a result out of that one.
Well, coaches are important, but leaders on the field are probably more important. And I think what Wales must have said to themselves when Ireland scored that second try 20 minutes or so into this game really was the difference. Their attitude in defence in the following set was what got them back into this game. It's an attempted 40-20 kick which won't find touch, but it traps Fitzpatrick again in the corner, and it finishes the half on a positive for the Welsh team.
Yeah, it does indeed, because all Ireland have got here is, 12 seconds to run out the clock. That's all they can do from there. And as Phil rightly says, Wales are going to go in feeling very good about themselves. They've pulled back a 12-point deficit, and they're finishing the half in Irish territory. As the siren goes, Wales, who were 12-0 down to 2 Irish tries early on from St-Hilaire and Finn, have battled back, and at half-time at Pontypridd, Wales 12, Ireland 12.
Tremendous first half here in Pontypridd, and the Irish taking that 12-point lead, but the Welsh, under the coaching of Iestyn Harris, with the likes of John Devereux and Clive Griffiths alongside him, very experienced team, and Kevin Ellis directing on the sideline, they fought their way back into this European Cup tie. Remember, they're battling away to face Scotland in the final in Bridgend next week. It's all square at half-time. Well, Sky Sports will be back in South Wales on Saturday. Live football from the Championship. It's a ferocious Welsh derby. Swansea against Cardiff from the Liberty Stadium. It's at 12:30 on Sky Sports 1 and in high definition on Sky Sports HD1. Don't forget, of course, we will be back. That's the Rugby League team back for the European Cup final next Sunday in Bridgend. Wales or Ireland will be there, along with Scotland, who won earlier today against Lebanon. At half-time here in Pontypridd, it's Wales 12, Ireland 12. And Phil Clark, as we look back on the first half, a much better contest than we saw in Glasgow, I think.
Well, Ireland's dominance in the opening quarter was rewarded when they scored the first of the tries. Coyle ran out the line, and then there were 5 great passes before we eventually saw St-Hilaire score out wide. Then again, on the last tackle, they showed the quality that they have, keeping the ball alive. It's a pass from James Haley to Pat Richards, and he just weighs up the distance and the timing of the kick. before Liam Finn goes over to give them that 12 points in the lead. But from that point on, we've just seen Wales growing strength. Webster crashed over to give them the first try, and then again they're rewarded with a brilliant individual run here by Lee Williams. He skips underneath the first tackle, does very well to round the fullback and accelerate for the try line, and I think deservedly puts Wales back into this match on level terms, having worked so hard to achieve that.
Yeah, gutsy performance from these two sides. Brian Carney's been watching as well, of course, with Rod Studd and Phil in the commentary box. I mean, it looked easy for Ireland early doors, but the Welsh, we've got to give them some credit for the way they ground themselves back into this game.
Absolutely, the Irish started very well. It's not easy out here. These are horrible conditions to try and play in, but the Irish started and adapted better at the start. They played disciplined, and they caused a lot of trouble to the Welsh, but credit to the Welsh. Heads could have dropped. They're a young side and an inexperienced side, but they've battled their way back into this game. Not because of Irish mistakes as much as Welsh effort. It's rewarded them with 2 late tries, and they've certainly finished this half stronger.
It was ironic, wasn't it, that we saw awful weather in Scotland for the first match between Scotland and Lebanon, and as the kickoff came here, Phil, the heavens opened. It was teeming down with rain, but the two sets of players, they've adapted themselves very well.
Well, it hasn't stopped either side attempting to pass the ball out wide, which is what we like to see. Good attacking rugby. Sometimes it's been passes, sometimes it's been kicks. But I just got a feeling, and I might be embarrassed totally in the second half, that Wales have got more to prove and are playing with greater enthusiasm than the Irish side. They seem to be able to get up from this. I don't know whether it's because they're playing in front of their own family and friends, but there just seems a spirit amongst the Welsh side, which I think might take them to success here tonight.
Well, you never know, and of course the sponsors, I suppose, with the fact that the final is in Bridgend next Sunday, they will be hoping that the Welsh will make it, but I tell you, there's one fellow here who won't be, and that's Brian Carney. You know, if you look at the stats between the two, Brian, Ireland have won 2 of the 3 previous meetings. The telling stat, though, is that the victory has gone to the away side, so you still have some hope.
Oh, I got a lot of hope for this Irish side. I think they played well. They're just the Welsh have had, you have ebbs and flows in games, and for the last 20 minutes or 15 minutes, it's gone Wales's way. Let's remind ourselves what's at stake here. It's a place maybe in 2 years' time in the Four Nations, in amongst the big boys, so there's a lot to play for. Ireland got a taste of it in the last World Cup. Wales missed out. These Irish players will want to be involved in that again.
Indeed so. It's all square at the break then down here at Sardish Road, the home of Pontypridd, and all the Welsh people hoping that they will be making the short trip down the M4 to Bridgend tomorrow, or rather a week today, for the final. They'll probably go tomorrow for their tickets. It's 12 apiece at half-time here. Wales 12, the Irish 12. Well, this is a match that is being eagerly anticipated in the Four Nations. Next Saturday, the winners of this will make it through to the final at Ellen Road on the 14th of November. It's England against the world champions, the Kiwis from New Zealand. 5:45 live, Sky Sports 1 and HD1, and nowhere else next Saturday night. Winners through to the final, and that is the case here. Winners through to the final of the RugbyLeague.com European Cup. Wales 12, Ireland 12 at half-time. A quick reminder to you that if it is level pegging after 80 minutes, we will go into the drama of golden point. We have to have a winner then here tonight. Will it be the Irish who are emerging now, or will it be the home nation, the Welsh, cheered on here by the majority of the supporters? Back to the commentary box. Barry and Phil are up there alongside Rod Studd.
I beg your pardon? Brian Carney here.
I'm sure Brian Carney's been called worse things than Barry McDermott during his career. Iestyn Harris and Andy Kelly have done their half-time team talks. Tony Smith worked wonders with his half-time team talk for England against Australia yesterday. You do wonder if the England coach should give his half-time team talk before the match kicks off. So well have they performed in second halves compared to first over the last couple of weeks.
Well, you can suggest that to him.
I will, and I have. As Ireland kick off in the second half, it's Pat Richards with another one of his varieties of kick-off. This time it bounces short and is collected by the Welsh on their own line, and collected powerfully by Louis Mills, who drives it up 10 metres. Yeah, Richards with this box of trick from kick-offs. How long does he practice on these kick-offs, Brian? I mean, you know him quite well from Wigan days. Would he spend like an hour or two after training working on these kick-offs? Because he has got this variety, hasn't he?
Well, I hear from the Wigan boys he's somebody, man, that does practice well, and you can see it. Practice makes perfect. It'll be interesting to see what half-time does with both of these sides. We saw that half-time came maybe too early for the Australians yesterday. They would have liked it to continue, and I think the Welsh would have liked the first half to continue a little longer today. So we'll see who comes out stronger now.
It was a dangerous offload. It bounced backwards and then went forward. So Alibert, the referee, gets it right. Again, it wasn't a forward pass yet. It's a new game starting effectively after half-time. All that Wales impetus will have been lost by the 15-minute break, and Ireland look to get back on top as Fitzpatrick throws out an ambitious ball to the high-stepping Pat Richards, who's got 3 Welshmen to beat and can't do it on this occasion.
I wonder if that's an indication, though, that Ireland recognise they need, if possible, to get Pat Richards involved in the game a little bit more. His class and quality out wide on the left-hand side will surely cause problems for Wales.
These opening stages of the first half are going to be absolutely crucial. If we go on and on with the scoreline level, you wonder whether teams will become more and more conservative and look to take less and less risk, because one mistake could be fatal. There is a mistake, knock on by Ireland. It comes immediately from Dave Allen. As Eddie Hemmings was rightly pointing out, we go into golden point if we're level at the end of 80 minutes.
Had a little look there, didn't he, at the Welsh defender closing in on him. It's a bit of a lazy play that from Dave Allen. It's a drop ball at a bad stage, and one more tackle and they get to kick on the front foot.
Well, a chance then for Wales, and they've shifted Christian Ruts into the ball-carrying position, and he's a big lad and he can get a lot of yardage from that position off the set scrum for the Welsh. Now, they've scored the last 2 tries in this match. With half an hour gone, they were 12-0 behind. They got 2 tries in the final 10 minutes of the first half. They'll look to put more points on the board at the start of the second. Ireland have got some defending to do. They've
also learnt the inside pass is the easier one for players to take. Still as difficult for defenders to catch. Short on the outside this time, but shorter passes have got to be the more fruitful play as the game wears on.
Well, Budworth has done some great work at dummy half, and he shapes to go himself, and a chance, or half a chance it was for Rhys Williams, but it was immediately snuffed out by the Irish defence. Again, it's Budworth, very busy at acting half. The kick comes from Ian Watson, dangerous in goal, it's loose in goal for a second or two, and if he gets out of there, it's an exceptionally James Haley, and he has the Halifax winger come centre.
Great play, and just the tackle previous, Dave Allen making up for the drop ball and stopping what was potentially a Welsh try on the line. This is a great play, like Patrick Richards showed in the first half. Getting out of your in goal is vital to your team.
Yeah, James Haley, one of 3 Irishmen making his debut today, alongside Marcus St-Hilaire and Michael Haley, no relation to James. But Wales will look to hunt another mistake. We've seen one from Dave Allen on the halfway line. Well, Ireland are only 20 metres away from their own line here, and they've already utilised 4 of the 6 tackles, and Richards isn't interested in hanging around inside that area of the field, and he's got it away. But this is a good start to the second half from the Welsh.
It's good, it's an energetic start, and that's always a great gauge. Coaches look for it, I guess commentators look for it as well, to see who's playing with greater energy, and it certainly seems to be with the Welsh at the moment.
It's not always the case that the best players make the best coaches, far from it in any sport, but Estienne Harris has already shown in 2.5 games that he certainly knows what he's about in the coach's box. It was a good effort first time up against England. They had England in trouble for a lot of that game. Obviously the Serbia game, you can't read too much into that, but they did score 15 tries, and these players have had the commitment and the quality to come back from 12-0 down here, and Harris has got them buzzing at the start of the second half. And Budworth once more, and again it's Ian Watson involved. No room there as 2 Irish forwards converge. Haley and Gibbons doing the damage. Last tackle then for the Welsh, 30 metres out. They look to go via the left boot of Ian Watson. It's a high-hanging ball. Well, we've all said that kicking the ball in the air towards Pat Richards is probably not the wisest tactic. It might be a shock tactic with Ireland not expecting it, but it's unlikely to pay off.
And a smart move, an experienced move. Had he taken that, he's got a chance to get pushed out by the Welsh. He's taken the chance that it would bounce and go into touch, and it's worked out well for him. That's an experienced play. You see players all too often catch the ball, get fired into touch by the defence that are piling in on top of them. So good play by Pat Richards.
The positive from Wales' point of view is that Ireland start this set 90 metres away from the target area of the Welsh try line, so a long way from the try line. Dave Allen, who made that mistake early in the second half, atoning for it, and Finn this time at dummy half. Bezic has moved out to first receiver. We've seen Bob Bezic dummy half almost exclusively so far this afternoon.
Wales are winning a lot of the collisions, though. I know it's still early in the second half, but when the tackle occurs, it's the Wales man who forces the Irish player backwards slightly, or ends up in a stronger, more dominant position, and that would be pleasing, I think, for Wales here. as Ireland look to move it wide, but it's Fitzpatrick again, surrounded by 3 defenders.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick and Richards would be the 2 key men you'd feel for the Irish. They're their 2 big Super League stars, and they're the guys that you feel that Andy Kelly would want to get on the ball more often than not. But we haven't seen too much of either of them, with the exception of the try that Richards created for Finn.
This is a good player on the ball at the moment. Elliot Keir, the full-back for Wales, really has impressed me. He's put himself in and around the ball when his team have had possession. Doesn't just stand at the back and wait to be asked to invite it into the play. Gets involved in the action, and he carries the ball, and he beats the first defender.
He does. He gets his nose through the line. We saw a lot of that from Sean Briscoe yesterday. Maybe not recognised for it in his career as a full-back, but beating the first defender really made a difference for the English team yesterday against Australia.
Well, Keir is one of the guys who've just come through the Celtic Crusaders. Now here's a break from Christian Roach. He might fancy going himself. He knows where the try line is, but he knows where the support's coming from. It's coming from Rhys Williams, and Wales from 12-0 behind and now 16-12 in front.
Well, we said they'd come out with a lot more energy, and it's resulted in a try ultimately for this young man, Rhys Williams.
Well, this is some comeback from the Welsh, because as I mentioned, they were 12-0 down in 21 minutes. 3 unanswered tries now for Iestyn Harris's side. The last one from Rhys Williams.
Again, great shape here with this right to left shift. Got players pouring forward, and if a big forward does get his arm free, he needs somebody on his inside and outside. Jordan James loves to run it hard. The offload's only going to be good if you got some support here. And Rhys Williams, Johnny on the spot to finish. Well-deserved try for Wales.
Well, you have to win the point of contact if you want to get an effective offload away. And that's what Jordan James did. He ran with great endeavour. He poked his nose through, didn't he? And then by having his arms free, he was able to provide that short and easy-to-receive offload, which Christian Roach turned into a superb try.
Sorry to just say, Rod, drawing parallels with yesterday's game as well, we saw a try from the Australians with Watmoe doing something very, very similar, just getting through, getting the arm free and having good support.
And this time he's off target, Lloyd White, but Wales still have the lead. Rhys Williams is at your club, Warrington, isn't he, when the juniors there?
Absolutely, and a man who's earning a lot of plaudits. Very, very powerful. Quiet guy off the field, very, very powerful on the field.
Yeah, yet to make his first team appearance for the Warrington Wolves. I mean, why have they got rid of that winger Brian Carney, Brian? Why has he gone into retirement?
Old and decrepit.
Me. Could surely still judge. What is this new job you've got at Warrington, by the way?
Great kick-off again by Pat Richards.
Dear me. 16-12 then to Wales. Christian Roach, who made the break for that try, scored a hat-trick of tries in the game at Serbia. He's the only guy who's a non-pro in this Welsh team. He's not a professional. You wonder if maybe the Celtic Crusaders might think, let's get him on board at the club and, get him involved, because they've got a lot of these guys who are in the Celtic Crusaders side already. And they've got a lot of spaces on their playing roster at the moment, haven't they?
That's right. I think Brian Noble will be looking to local talent to try and it'll be better in the long run for Celtic Crusaders if they're going to survive as a franchise to have local talent, and anybody here on show that's not being picked up, I'm sure is somebody that Brian Noble will have a look at.
Yeah, Brian Noble being assisted now by John Sharp and of course by Iestyn Harris, the Welsh club, so they've got a pretty impressive brains trust now, and they'll be playing next season in Newport in Super League year 2010, Super League 15. And Wales will look to prod this towards the touchline. Well, every second now a friend to Wales, and that 30 seconds that will eat up, they won't mind that at all with just over half an hour to go.
Great kick. Again, what Phil spoke about in the first half, pinning people down and pinning teams down into their own half, and the nearer you can get that ball to the try line when it goes out, the better it is, and a great kick.
I think Ireland needs somebody to come up here, put their hand up and provide some inspiration. I got the feeling as they run back to this scrum, they've all got their heads down, they're looking for one of their teammates to come on, find some fire and lift the side. At the moment, it's Wales who've got all the running in them.
Is that down to the people like Richards and Fitzpatrick, who, as we said, are the big 2 players?
Well, it's down to somebody or other at the moment. Look, they're just losing, being driven backwards in the tackle, they're feeling sorry for themselves, they need to roll up the sleeves here and come up with some stronger carries.
And the longer that continues, as you say, Phil, the longer that continues, the more Welsh get some.
Well, that's a pretty good run, isn't it, there now by Boyle. Ryan Boyle's got them through, quicker play of the ball, and Stevie Gibbons takes it forward.
I was going to say that the more Welsh confidence will rise when they're pinning Ireland back and driving them back in the tackle.
Yeah, sort of stat at the bottom of the screen there with second half possession stats, which is roughly 80-20 now in Wales' favour, which is an enormous difference, although we have only played 10 minutes of the second half and it'll even out a little bit, but that will tell, you would feel, in the final few minutes of this game. Ireland kicking deep, and Elliot Keir can just run this one away. Again, he's been pretty safe. Just a one error so far, driving the ball out of his own defence, but he's also chimed into the line as well. It's been a good performance from the Celtic Crusaders fullback. As I mentioned, he made his debut in that game against Leeds when they got annihilated, but there's a lot of kids who came through and they've learnt very, very quickly, and they're starting to look like useful rugby league players.
So we'll enter the last half hour of this game as well. Something to consider is this heavy surface and what that'll take out of these guys' legs. It's not easy playing in these conditions. It's a bit more energy sapping than the dry ground, and it's sort of taking its toll on the Irish guys now.
Well, look again, the amount of metres, Rod, it may only be 2 or 3, but the Welsh players, after making contact with the ball, are continuing to pump the legs, push forward, and psychologically it's lifting the teammates around them.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to play in these conditions when you're in front, isn't it? It must seem like running through custard when you're behind, chasing a gain. There's a high hanging ball, and it's well collected too. Well collected by Tim Bergin. Wales gaining about 124 metres more than Ireland in this game, so ahead on the meterage stats and ahead on the scoreboard as well. Most importantly, 3 tries to 2, 16 points to 12, and at the moment heading for a win over Ireland, which would take them into a European Cup final against the Scots, and they've forced another error. Another error forced to some. It's Luke Ambler who's made the mistake.
Well, you'd call that an unforced error, really, wouldn't you? It's that's a killer coming. You've got to be squeaky clean and almost have 100% completion coming out of your own half to give yourself a chance in the game. That's going to make it very difficult for Ireland.
You only tend to see those when your opponents are flying into your face and preparing to hit you, and I think, again, we've seen Wales here looking to shift it through Elliot Keir from this scrum. Ireland here now need to defend well in this set.
There's good defence there from the experienced Marcus St-Hilaire, 32 now. He's been in this game for well over a decade. In the Leeds Cup winning team back in '99 in that last Wembley Cup final. As Wales look for what wouldn't quite be a match-winning score yet, but would put them well on the way. Budworth again will be a dummy half here. He's the orchestrator close to the line. The Celtic Crusaders hooker, he goes for the line, and he's won a penalty. Well, that could be a crucial penalty now. Run it and go for 6, or just kick it for the safe 2?
I think you can't hope to win with 2 more points. It's the 4th tackle. You're going to get 6 more here. Take every chance you can near your opponent's line, and I think Jordan James does that.
Well, it was a guaranteed 2. I know Tony Smith, the England coach, is a big advocate of running penalties, even in that situation. Will it pay off for the Welsh? I think it will. Must be a try on here, and it has paid off for the Welsh. They get the try, they ran the penalty. Oh, no, Thierry Alibert says, hold on a minute, I want to have a look at this. He's looking at a possible obstruction.
Now, this could be anything then. If we've gone for obstruction, we could be looking at anything here.
Well, it wasn't anything that appeared apparent in normal speed to me, but well, our referee in the video van is Ben Thaler, who'll be having a close look at every point of contact here.
Look, I'm going to say that's a try. As much and all as I'd love to have it chalked off, I think it's a try. I can't see anything wrong with that. I can't see any defender pulled out of play or taken out illegally by a Welsh attacker.
No, and nor can Ben Thaler. More importantly, Ashley Bateman has grounded the ball. I'm sure Ben Thaler is going to give this the green light. Thierry Alibert was safety first, but Wales are into an 8-point lead. It was a gamble. They had 2 points in the bank if they wanted it in front of the post. They took the risk, and they got it wide to Ashley Bateman. There was a big overlap, and after a check with the video van, the try's given.
That's right, the decision not to go for 2, fully justified. High tackle from Carl Fitzpatrick, earning the Welsh a penalty, and Jordan James, after one good drive, Irish caught short for numbers. Pat Richards had to come in. The Welsh were good enough to ship it out wide.
Well, 3 quick passes to the right wing, and it's a well-deserved try for Wales. The last try was scored on the left wing. They're using their full width in difficult conditions to test Ireland's defence, which at the moment can't find the answers. Now, a big kick here for Lloyd White, attempting it from the sideline. Ball's heavy, the soil's heavy, the footing's going to be difficult.
I'll tell you what, that's a good effort. Whoa, he's cannoned off the post, he's very unlucky. As Phil says, it's pretty marshy out there, and any kind of strike was going to be difficult, but it was a quality effort. Even so, even with the miss, Wales are 2 scores in front.
That's right, and it's international rugby. We've got to remember they're playing at quite a high level here, and you're going to get your mistakes punished. Ireland dropped the ball coming out of their own half. I think Luke Amber's mistaken, and the Welsh ultimately have punished them a few plays later.
Well, Wales have now scored 20 unanswered points here as they look for a second straight win over the Irish. As I mentioned, back in 2005 in Dublin, Wales won 31-10. Ireland had won the other 2 previous meetings. Well, this has been some turnaround here. A hint of a high tackle. Referee Alibert waves play on.
And it's very similar to what we saw up in Glasgow earlier today with Scotland coming from behind. Wales make a break down the middle.
Yeah, this is chance for more points, and it should be a try here for Elliot Keir. Oh, a desperate last-ditch tackle, a brilliant last-ditch tackle by James Coyle of Barrow. Well, that has saved his side 6 points and may well have just about kept them in the game. Beasley will get it wide here to Davies, who fancies a try himself. This could be another decision for Ben Thaler. I'm sure Thierry Alibert can't see whether that was grounded or not. Well, Davies burrowed his way towards the try line. Did he get the ball down on the line or over it? Or was he short?
Well, you'd have to say that natural momentum has carried him forward here. It's whether or not there's enough arm underneath the ball from the Irish defenders. We can't see from that angle. We're going to have a look from the other camera. Look, I think from that you're going to have to say there's enough in that to think he's got to say he's got the ball down.
Well, Thierry Alibert just couldn't see through a wall of bodies, could he? There, the ball is on the ground short of the line. The question is, Brian, does he still have downward pressure on it as it goes over the line or onto it?
I'd say that's not the question. I'd say the question is whether or not the Irish defenders have got their arm underneath the ball. I'd say the Welsh guy, he's definitely in control. As we see, he falls down. It's just whether or not he got rolled. The ball got rolled up and off the playing surface. And
I believe that you have to give the benefit of the doubt here. This looks like a try. I think he's grounded the ball and slid forward. It's unlikely that Ireland have got the hand or arm underneath the ball as he's sliding forward from that position. I know it lifts up slightly and we're impossible to see here. Christian Roach is in view and there's all sorts of bodies pushing and shoving. He's wriggling around on the floor.
I agree with you, Phil. I think no try, I should say.
What does Ben Thaler say? And he says exactly what Phil and Brian have just said. A try by the benefit of the doubt, and Geraint Davies gets his first try in Welsh colours. A big moment for him and a big moment in this match. He's a Welsh speaker, Geraint Davies, so he'll tell us exactly what that was in Welsh, but it puts them 24-12 in front.
Well, it's come from a Welsh break up the middle of the field, cutting Ireland right open. Credit Carl Fitzpatrick for an outstanding fullback's tackle here. Or sorry, James Coyle, I should say, covering back. The Irish just couldn't get set in time. And it's going to be difficult to stop a big man from there. And as the video referee ultimately decided, he's benefit of the doubt, says he's got this ball down, and I tend to agree.
You know what's quite amazing about this is Geraint Davies actually set up this break at the other end of the field. Forward passing to forward, got Wales through Ireland's defensive line to start it, and then he got up to the other end of the field and finished it. Can Lloyd White cap it off here now with 2 further points?
Well, this would crucially put them 3 scores in front. They're currently 12 points in front. The Welsh, he shaves the upright this time. Well, that gives Ireland a glimmer of a chance. 2 converted tries behind. 14 points would have made it a 3-try game. Well, Iestyn Harris, though, has worked wonders at half-time. 3 tries to the Welsh in the second half from Williams, from Bateman, and now from Davies, and that's 5 tries without reply for the Welsh.
I think we've seen the wealth of experience that Wales Rugby League have there. Clive Griffiths and John Devereux alongside him there. Some people with great knowledge, oh, that's a great kick-off, and one that none of the Welsh players seemed interested in taking.
That's another one from the Richards repertoire, isn't it? This time the one that goes dead and forces the dropout.
It's a turning point in this match. I think now, probably for the last 40 minutes, we've seen Wales as the dominant side. I think now, with 23 minutes on the clock, that could be the turning point which gets Ireland back going again.
Well, you look for inspiration, don't you? And maybe inspiration has come the way of a Pat Richards restart.
Well, Ireland are looking to bounce back from 5 tries in a 24-minute spell either side of half-time, from 12-0 in front to 24-12 behind. Has Richards' goal line dropout forcing kick-off given them new hope? Is Finn, who scored the second of the Irish tries. But the fizz has gone out of Finn and his teammates. Really need to find it again. Coyle, they'll grubber it through here, the Irish, but it's early in the tackle count. It's ineffective.
I'm not a believer in that. When you haven't had the ball and you get it back and kicking on tackle 3, I'm not a fan of that. I think they had opportunity to maybe soak up a few more tackles, put a little more pressure on this Welsh line, and then put a good kick in.
What have Andy Kelly and Barry McDermott got to do here, or do they have to rely, as we were saying earlier on, guys with experience out there to lift Ireland out of this malaise?
Well, they need a big run from somebody, and just I think they'll need to get themselves on the scoreboard pretty soon, because this Welsh team are playing with a lot of energy and seem to have a lot sharper in everything they do in attack and defence.
Yeah, epitomised by Jordan James, the captain, with a barnstorming burst that takes his team almost up to halfway, and now they can get the kick in, which will end up deep in Irish territory. Jordan James, a passionate believer in the cause of Welsh Rugby League, and showing it with that run. Now Fitzpatrick taking it out of his own danger zone.
Well, all teams will make mistakes in games of rugby league. Wales made one in trying to receive the kick-off from Ireland, but the response following that mistake has been fantastic. The defence was good, they cleared the line, and now they're prepared to work hard. They've not let it break their concentration and the control that they have on this match.
Yeah, Jordan James captaining the side in the absence of the injured Ben Flower. Justin Harris might have a decision to make here, because Jordan James has really put his hand up here and led this side with a lot of fire and passion. He's captained this side exceptionally well, and people say, it's easy to captain a rugby league team. All you do is toss up at the start of the game, but it does make a difference when you can get out there and lead your troops.
I think you said the word there. He's got to be inspirational. He has been inspirational all the games we've seen him play. He's had a difficult year with the Celtic Crusaders. It can't have been easy to come into these end-of-season international games, but he's certainly taking on the challenge with relish, and he was one of the standout performers against England, and has been again tonight.
This is Williams, who got the first try of the second half, the one that set the tone for this second period. Remember, it will be golden point extra time if it finishes level after 80 minutes. It would require 2 converted Irish tries to get back on level terms, and they're going to have to come from deep here as Bergin goes back with Fitzpatrick. It's the young Irish winger who collects. Fitzpatrick says, "You have a go, son," and goes into the heavy traffic of the Welsh firing line that's all come forward to knock him down. Wales playing full of confidence now. St Hilaire back to Fitzpatrick. Are they going to chance their arm? They are. They're going to get it wide. Well, even wider would have been Richards, who's lurking on that far touchline, but they've made another mistake, another handling error, forcing the game, forcing the pass. Wales lapping it up.
Again, when you haven't had the ball, you don't try this, especially coming out of your own 20. It's, I think that's probably a hint of inexperience there. Take the tackle, play the ball quickly, let Pat Richards come in and have a run then on the back of that.
Yeah, it was Halifax's James Haley who made the mistake. One of the stars of the season as Halifax got to that championship grand final, ultimately unsuccessfully. Justin Harris's side, Featherstone, who was then knocked out by Halifax in the final eliminator, but it's Harris having the last laugh tonight. You feel one more try would finish Ireland off here. 18 minutes to go. Could have been a penalty, but Thierry Alibert was content to let things continue and let Ian Webster rumble his way to within 20 metres of the line. A bit early, you'd think, for a drop goal, but it could come to that later on if Wales want to just extend the lead as Keir drops on a loose ball. 3 tackles left in the bank for the Welsh here. That's 15, 16 metres out. What's Budworth got up his sleeve? A little run from dummy half as Wales make further yardage. More chances for the Welsh and Matt Barron. Oh, it's last-ditch stuff from Ireland. You feel that the dam could be about to burst again here. Budworth. Is that a try? I think it might be. I think it could be a try for the captain, Jordan James. Thierry Alibert says yes. Jordan James gets a crucial try for Wales, and probably the match-winning try.
Fully deserved. Wales in control of this game, and Jordan James gets just desserts for the effort he's put in today. I said we spoke about big men difficult to stop near the line, and I think he's probably the biggest they got on this Welsh side. Put punishing of an Irish mistake again. Neil Budworth's been very busy out. Find his big man. He's managed to ground that ball in the referee's opinion without any difficulty.
Let's have a look at it. Did it come loose, Brian?
Well, it's historical now. Iestyn Harris, I think he knows, and that's the try, as you say, that will probably kill off any sort of chance of an Irish fight back here.
And as you say, a try that Jordan James deserved as well. 2 more points from the boot of Lloyd White. Well, Wales surely home, if not dry in these conditions. 30 points to 12, 18 points clear. And remember, this is all coming after Ireland scored 2 tries in the first quarter and led 12-0.
To me, this sums up the dominance and the reason why Wales have won this game. In those little battles there, those little tough battles when you're in the trenches, who's prepared to push the legs and drive the hardest? And the answer is Wales for the majority of this match. It's what drove Jordan James over the try line, and it's what will carry Wales through, I believe, to next week's final with the Scots.
The Wales fancy more here now. They're sniffing blood, the Welsh. They think they can put the cleaners through Ireland here. They've scored 30 unanswered points, 6 unanswered tries. And the way they're going, there could be more here for Iestyn Harris's side.
Well, a sign of the spirit in this Irish team is what they do now. Do they give in, do they throw the towel in, or do they try and restore some pride and get some points on the board, which is going to be important?
Well, that's been a feature of the Irish game over the last few years as they concede another penalty, is that they haven't given up. They played with spirit. You've been part of those teams and know what the spirit's been like.
That's right. It's difficult when you're on the back foot and you're playing against a team that'll be pretty dominant on you. You're giving away penalties, you're going to make it doubly difficult for yourself.
Well, when you've sat on the bench for over an hour, Paddy Barco has just come on and wants to get involved. A little too enthusiastic to wrestle in that tackle. Get another chance here to do some more tackling.
Another set for Wales, and the Irish Brains Trust of Messrs Kelly and McDermott do not look very pleased with proceedings, and who can blame them? It's all gone horribly wrong from a 12-0 lead, and things could be about to get worse here for Ireland. Wales calling the shots. Neil Budworth calling the shots from dummy half here. He'll come left. He's got Watson. He's got the fullback here. That's another try, or is it? Or is it? Thierry Alibert says yes it is. The ball came free, but it was grounded first, and Ireland are being taken apart here by the Welsh. 34-12, kick to come, and Ireland have conceded 7 tries without reply from the 33rd minute onwards.
Well, Elliot Keir, another man who's had a good game today and is rewarded with a try. Neil Budworth very busy at a dummy half and provides good services. He's hit a great line there, and it's difficult. Where he's come from makes it very, very difficult to defend.
Well, they often call it a magic play because the player appears out of nowhere. He's hiding behind the defenders. None of the Irish players can spot where he's going to come from, and his acceleration to burst onto that ball is what takes him over. This Welsh side really are playing to their full potential, and John Devereux's going to celebrate tonight.
Obviously a rehearsed play, and you speak about the skill and the magic of Iestyn Harris, and I'm sure that's something that he's come up with, and they've executed it brilliantly.
Well, a chance here for another couple of points to the tally of Lloyd White. This one shouldn't be any problem, and it isn't. 36-12, 7 different try scorers for Wales. Webster, Lee Williams, Rhys Williams, Bateman, Davies, James, and now Keir.
Well, the forlorn faces on Barry McDermott and Andy Kelly there. It's going to take a lot for Ireland to get anything out of this game and not be on the end of a real hiding.
Well, it's sometimes not that you lose, it's the way you lose, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think we're all agreed the game is gone for Ireland. It's what sort of spirit they can show in these remaining minutes.
Yeah, under Andy Kelly, they've gone well. Ireland, this is his 9th game. In the previous 8, just 2 defeats, those 2 in the World Cup to Tonga and Fiji. A couple of draws against Lebanon in the qualifiers and 4 wins. So an impressive set of results for Andy Kelly as Irish coach, but this is going to be another one in the loss column, a 3rd loss, and far and away the worst defeat, really, having gone into the game as favourites.
Absolutely. Points-wise, the Welsh keep racking up these points, and it's disappointing me. I want to see Ireland get back on the scoreboard, but I'm not sure where it's going to come from. The Welsh playing with so much energy, being led tremendously by Jordan James, who's not only a big, powerful runner, he seems to have tremendous stamina in his game as well.
Yeah, it will be the worst defeat for Andy Kelly as Welsh coach. They lost to Fiji 30 points to 14. So this is far and away a worse defeat, 8 points worse at the moment. At the moment, as Thierry Alibert pings the Irish for offside and the penalty count goes to 8-4 to Wales, at the moment, you can only see it getting worse for the Irish.
Well, he said that the markers aren't square here. Two men in front of the man playing the ball need to stand directly in position, and they weren't. Paddy Barco and his team now are back defending their own try line.
Well, you feel they're going to score every time they get up here. It's real problem. Well, that's a relief for Ireland.
But a great play from a tap, wasn't it? Pretending as though they were going to go infield towards the centre of the post and then stopping and switching it back. It almost caught Ireland out. They've lost possession. But brilliant. I like the way they're thinking, and I like the way they're playing.
Yeah, they would have scored again, wouldn't they, if he'd held on to that. You felt that they'd have gone in again from the next couple of tackles. It looked like another try was begging. You'd think Andy Kelly and Barry McDermott would be happy if they heard the final siren now 12 minutes early, wouldn't you? Because it doesn't look like it's going to get any better, Brian.
Well, no. They're team coaches, and the thing they want to see is what sort of a spirit they've got in their side. They've told us they've got a great spirit, and I believe them. Now here's the chance for the guys to show it. So no, I don't think they want the whistle to go. I think they know that their players are getting tested now, and I think they'd like to see what sort of answers they can come up with.
Let's see what they can come up with from here. They're going to have to go from deep. The problem is they're going to have to throw the ball around, and that'll lead to more mistakes. That was a forward pass. I'm sure it was a forward pass. Thierry Alibert says 6 to go. Ireland get a break. Oh, no, they don't. Now he says it's a knock-on. I think the initial pass was forward, but they got away with that, I think, and then James Coyle's been done for a knock-on.
Well, you know, the year isn't over, even though this game is probably over for them. Next week they need to regroup in preparation for the game against Lebanon. Of course, the one that will be the curtain raiser almost for the final between Wales and Scotland. So it's all part of a rebuilding process, and hopefully all of the sides in this European Cup looking ultimately to force their way into the Four Nations in 2 years. And then the biggest prize is the 2013 World Cup.
Yeah, Wales failed to qualify for the last one, but they've twice been in the semi-final of the World Cup in '95 and 2000. A knock-on this time against Lloyd White. Yeah, the final of this event will be next weekend. Wales will play Scotland, no question about that. Ireland will be in the curtain raiser, as Phil says, against the Lebanon. You can see that final between Wales and Scotland live on Sky Sports.
You can't pick it in sports sometimes, can you? How?
Well, you can't, Brian.
Let me finish my point. Ireland started off so well. The Welsh looked horrible, and then they've come back and finished stronger, and now we've got Welsh totally dominant, and Ireland not looking anything like the team that started this game so well.
Yeah, another error coming here, but I mean, in fairness, they've got to chance things now. They're 4 tries behind, then with 10 minutes to go, they're going to have to play some ridiculously high-risk football. Mistakes are going to come. This time it's come off a Welsh hand anyway, so Ireland are going to get the ball from the scrum. Marcus St Hilaire, who started things off in the 10th minute with the opening try of this match. And who'd have thought now, 60 minutes on, that Ireland, from being in command, are going to be 24 behind. Yes, you did, Clark.
I thought the same. I think the Irish are going to need Thierry Alibert to swallow this whistle, give him any sort of chance of getting down the field.
Yep. Phil Clark, who I think said that he fancied Ireland at the start of play, then changed horses onto Wales at half-time.
And I said very often the side that plays best in the first 20 minutes don't go on to win it, and I think at that time Ireland...
Like Australia yesterday.
Well, and then we've seen a turnaround. I mean, it's 24 points to 0 at half-time. Wales have got possession again. Could be more.
It could be more. Tri-Nations next weekend, big games coming up, including England v New Zealand. That's a huge game. The winners will qualify for the final to play Australia. That's if we assume that Australia are going to beat France. I think it would be a fairly safe bet. Even Brian Carney might get that one right. England v New Zealand, Saturday, 5:45 at Huddersfield. Sky Sports 1 and HD1, and the winners will play Australia in the final as well. Get another penalty from the whistle of Thierry Alibert. Holding down against Luke Ambler. Well, there's 2 points on offer if they want to run the clock down, but they fancy more tries. And Ian Watson will get them moving again.
Well, the more tries they score, the more confidence they're going to take into next week's final. Hopefully well supported by the Welsh, who will turn up, and anybody else interested in rugby league who can get down to Brewery Field next weekend.
Budworth must be pretty close.
So well.
Yeah, Budworth must be pretty close to man of the match, and so must Jordan James, and the two almost combined for another try for the Welsh. It would have been an 8. Well, James couldn't extricate himself, and he's taken a quick tap now, Thierry Alibert. No, sir, he says. You're going to have to come back and take that from the mark. Didn't allow the quick penalty, as Bezic was penalised. He's telling them to wait, but you feel it might be only a short wait for another Welsh try here. Budworth goes. Here's another one, surely. It's soft as that. Gil Dudson scores. An 8th try scorer, an 8th separate try scorer, an 8th try for Wales, and the rout continues.
Well, that's poor defence. Well done, Gil Dudson, and well done, Wales, but it's poor defence. Thierry Albert gave Ireland enough time to get set on their line, and yet they couldn't mark up. Again, we've spoken about this man, Jordan James. Great run and great shape. It's difficult, but this is enough time for Ireland to get set here. We see the penalty. Ireland should be set. Nobody accounted for easy try in the end.
Well, they're looking at the man with the ball. They need to look at where the options are for the ball carrier. They didn't cover Gil Dudson, and I think that's the 3rd try they've scored with that very simple, straightforward pass from Budworth into the arms of a ball carrier. 2 more points. What a great half it's been now for the Welsh side.
42-12. I keep harking back to that Celtic Crusaders game against Leeds, Phil, when they had to blood all those youngsters because of the visa problem. He's another one, Gil Dudson, who made his debut for the Crusaders in that game.
And he's going to gain so much from this. I mean, players just need to be given time to develop. It takes 10,000 hours to become world-class at anything, from playing the piano to playing rugby league. They need exposure at the higher level. By having that exposure, some of these players are going to improve, and we've certainly seen that as this game's worn on.
Well, Iestyn Harris almost emotionless on the sidelines, doing a good impression of Rafa Benitez there. It'd be a good game of poker between Benitez and Harris, wouldn't you? You wouldn't even know who scored or conceded.
Well, Rafa Benitez, they're different men. I don't think Iestyn Harris has experienced the pressure Rafa Benitez is under right now.
Well, he's going to have 2 wins out of 3 matches, Iestyn Harris, as Welsh coach, which is slightly better than Liverpool's current record. Obviously, 6 defeats in 7 for them, but Harris is doing a good job early doors here, isn't he, as Welsh coach?
He's doing a good job, and he's got them playing well, and he's got them playing exciting rugby when they get the opportunity.
8 tries to 2 as Ireland get possession from a scrum inside Welsh territory. Bezic, who was really in the thick of the action early on, but has faded out of it with the rest of the Irish team. Haley, here's Bezic again. He was the man who gave the penalty away for that last try that the Irish conceded. Coyle sidestepping through a couple of would-be tackles. And Bezic, and Ambler now, trying to force his way through. It's Jordan James again with an important tackle, still working away to keep the line intact. Well, last tackle, Wales will look to keep Ireland scoreless in the second half. It's been 54 minutes since the Irish last scored a try, their 2nd try of this game. Wales have really upped their game in defence. This is the last, remember, Ireland running it, but it's shambolic to say the least. And finally Bezic just puts it as high as he can into the Pontypridd night sky, and it's collected comfortably.
And that's character from the Welsh side. They're 42-12, off 5 minutes to go, and they show such urgency in defence to keep Ireland scoreless.
And another penalty, not square again. 11 penalties to 5 as Ireland have tired. Wales have racked up the penalties and the points.
Well, the marker's not square. Tim Bergen penalised. He's enthusiastic, but he's still in the wrong position. And a nice test here for Wales as the Irish coaching staff look on to see whether they can maintain the concentration to play. Can you play irrespective of what the scoreboard says? Can you play at the level and the standard that you set for yourselves? Wales are doing that right now.
We mentioned this was the worst Irish defeat under Andy Kelly. It's their worst loss for 8 years since they lost 56-16 to France back in 2001. So there's going to be a lot of work to do. As Phil was saying, they're going to play again next week so they can get straight back on the horse, but it's going to be a very disappointed changing room for Andy Kelly and Barry McDermott to work with, and the training camp this week, Brad.
Yes, you can take a loss, and I think Jordan James has got a heavy knock there as he gets assisted off the field. He won't want to come off, but I think they're going to force him off. He might have got a big head knock there. He looks groggy.
The play continues as the bomb is hoisted. He's managed to just about collect that, Kirkpatrick. There's Jordan James coming off. What a heroic performance from the Welsh captain. Really superb effort. Capped it with a try. He would have wanted to stay on to the bitter end, but clearly not fit to continue. Man of the match too, Jordan James. And rightly so. It's been a really good performance here from the Welsh captain. Top quality performance.
Outstanding. He's been the inspiration behind so much of the good stuff his side has done today. He's led, he's inspired, maybe not just with words in the dressing rooms at half-time or before the game, but he's inspired them with his actions on the field. Always a sign of a great leader.
Wales 2.5 minutes away from the European Cup final, where they'll play Scotland. It'll be Ireland against Lebanon, and before that, Serbia against Italy in a treble header in Bridgend. Can Ireland at least salvage something here? Can they get the final word in a half where they've been almost speechless here, because Wales have taken them apart in the second half, scored 6 tries to 0 from 12-all at half-time. Here's a penalty to Ireland. He says the hand was in from Chris Beasley. Beasley saying, I couldn't get my arm out. Felt it was trapped in between the ball and his opponent. This could be Ireland's last chance to salvage something from a desperately disappointing second half. Here's Bezic, here's Coyle. Well, that just about sums up the second stanza.
Well, not even that, longer than that, I would say. I would say 60 minutes they've been very poor, the Irish, after a good start in the game, and that's... For 60 minutes, they've been a distant second to this Welsh side. All credit to Iestyn Harris, the way he's got them playing.
Yeah, Wales happy to let the clock run down here. This second half will have delighted Iestyn Harris. Hardly made a mistake, the Welsh, in the second half, and when they have, they've muscled up in defence and negated any kind of handling errors. They've had a goal line drop against them as well, but just tackled themselves to a standstill and made sure that Ireland have been absolutely pointless in this second half. A knock-on from Wales. Are Ireland in a hurry to form this squad? At least that shows something about the attitude that they want to get another set in, Brad.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this is a disappointment. As a player, you have to take this disappointment into the following week, and it's difficult. You live with this all week, and they're going to try and do anything to clinch some sort of pride out of this game. I can't see it happening for them. I think they're going to have to just suck it and live with it, but that's...
Well, a quick kick through from the scrum. Wales tidy up.
That's sport, I was going to say.
Elliot Keir, who'd be another one who'd have to have been pretty close to man of the match alongside Jordan James. I think Neil Budworth's gone pretty well as well. Yeah,
and you can't forget that Ian Webster's made more tackles than anybody on the field on either side, so they've had important contributors who sometimes go unnoticeable. The back rowers in Rugby League who do so much of the work running on and off the ball and tackling, very often they don't get the recognition they deserve, and Webster's been very impressive for Wales.
This will be the last play. Are they going to put some icing on the cake here? There's half a chance for the Welsh once more. It's Elliot Keir breaking it through. Is he going to finish in style with a sensational score? No, he's not. Ireland chase back. The whistle goes. Thierry Elibert brings things to a close. Iestyn Harris has coached Wales to the European Cup final, where they will take on Scotland in Bridgend. A comprehensive win from 12-0 down. They rallied to rack up 8 tries without reply, 8 different try scorers, and in the end, an absolute rout of the Irish. Wales through to the final. They win it 42 points to 12.
Yes, a magnificent victory for the Welsh and the new coach of the Welsh national team, Iestyn Harris. And the comeback is on for the team that, the nation that made the World Cup semi-final in 1995 and the year 2000. It started so brightly for the Irish, 12-0 up after 21 minutes, but then, as Rod rightly says, 8 different try scorers between then and the end of the game. This is confirmation of the final score, 42 points to 12. There are the try scorers: Webster, Lee Williams, Dudson, Rhys Williams, Bateman, Davis, James and Keir. White knocking over 5 goals. 42 points to 12. St Hilaire and Finn early on with the Richards 2 goals. And all that means that next weekend the Welsh will play Scotland at Bridgend the Brewery Field in Bridgend, the Celtic Crusaders home in 2009, and it's a 3:30 start with us live on Sky Sports 3.